Shorty Torres!
All right. We are back with episode 22 with Small Thoughts with Shorty Torres. Shorty and I are back. And Shorty's it's been quite the year for you. It's been kind of a ride. You've had a fight, and then you were supposed to fight again in a certain part of the year. Then you're supposed to fight again, and then you're supposed to fight in December 13th. It doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Neither does it happen on the 15th, but now you got a confirmed fight at Rizin on the 31st of December. How are you?
Man, I'm overwhelmed with support, but also stressed as hell because, like you said, fighting in August that gets postponed. Fight September, no clue when. Fighting December 13th and possibly the 15th. Had a signed opponent. Actually, for people who don't know, I was supposed to fight Mohamed Mokaev's new opponent. I was scheduled and contractually signed to fight him. Then out of nowhere, they came with they're like, hey, would you like to fight for Rizin? I'm like, yeah, for sure. They sent me, three opponents, one of them being the one that I signed for now, but nothing was told to my South African opponent. Like we didn't want to say, okay, well, you go fight somebody else and I'm going to go fight for Rizin because maybe none of the opponents in Rizin want to fight me. And out of nowhere, one day I just see Mohamed Mokai fighting my South African opponent, and I'm like, I haven't signed anything new. And then, Brave was like, no, 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 we're reassure you, like, you're gonna have a fight. We're not worried about it. Like, Rizin wants to have you. You're gonna, it's like kind of a co-promotion thing. Like, we're just letting you go for that one fight. It's their 10th anniversary event in Saitama Arena. You're a big anime guy, so obviously Tokyo is a huge place for me. And they were right. And me, obviously, stressed as hell because nothing was guaranteed from August, September, all the way. So think about it, 6 to 7 months without pay while you're spending all
Yeah.
this money thinking you're going to have the opportunity to fight to get paid, and then nothing. And man, they made up for it. They came out of nowhere with the woodworks, to have me fight the Saitama Arena, and now I'm also on FanMio, which is going to be shown live here in the States at a regular time. For me,
Nice.
that is huge because I haven't fought in a regular time for people to watch in the States in years, since 2018. So I'm really happy and excited for it. And FanMio, I've been I've talked to them before, and now I know a lot of people on that card as well. Amalo Vargas fighting again, so it's going to be a dope time. And plus, I think I'm one of 4 Latinos or Mexicans on that card, so it's almost like a little part of Mexico is going to be in Japan.
It's kind of like the classic Japan versus Mexican kind of brawl almost. I know we
Yeah,
talked about that before, yeah.
I'm super like given probably a bad thing, but I'm super stereotypical, especially with fighting. Like Mexicans, Hawaiians, and Japanese are very similar, all very, very tough, just stylistically very different. Japanese are super fast, they're tough and super fast. Hawaiians, they're super tough and technical. Mexicans, we're tough and we have a gas tank. So if you don't finish us, we're gonna eventually, we're gonna make you die out on us. So it's gonna be a good time out there, and especially with the whole Mexican Japanese kind of feuds in boxing, like it's a spectacle to watch, and I'm really excited for it, especially since my opponent's young, he's hungry. This is his, another big test. All the big tests he's had, he's lost. So maybe I'll be the next one. But the fact is, it's in the freaking Saitama Arena. Like who else could say they fought there? You used to watch Pride back in the day, and then
Yeah.
eventually Rizin when it finally came to be. It's like this is amazing. So yeah, I'm definitely ecstatic for it. And again, Brave was right. I'm a huge anime fan, and I'm going to Tokyo. Yeah, Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, all these different anime, all these different
100%.
things. It's gonna be a phenomenal time.
Yeah, and I think like for any MMA fighter, if you're really a big fan of like the whole Japanese and just that art form of fighting and whatnot, you gotta fight in Japan. I mean, like there's that
Mhm.
I think there's that feeling being able to just be there. It doesn't even fuck the opponent. It's just being able to be in Japan and fighting there is awesome. And how did Brave get into contact with Rizin? How did they get you set up with Rizin or
That one,
Risen?
I know. I'm confused as well. Rizin, Ryzen, whatever the case may be, Japan. But the fact is, I don't know how that worked, but I know there was an opportunity that they had connects with, especially being the 10th anniversary show. I know Rizin has had co-promotional stuff with Bellator before. Some of the PFL fighters have been a part of Rizin just for like one-off fights. So I think they were just like, you know, man, let's make this big, especially for Fan Mio. We need an American. We want to really promote this. Hell, we let's bring in a former champion to fight another two-time former champion, not a part of Risen, but a part of other promotions. Me, double champion
Yeah.
Titan, former champion Brave. It's like, you know what? I'll definitely take the opportunity. 18-3-1 versus 12-3-1. Like it's just a lot of fun. But I think it's really cool for people who've watched Pride back in the day and Risen now. Is the Japanese naturally super respectful. So there's no crowd like cheering on. Like UFC events, you hear crowd all the time. They'll do random chants. You'll see the wave in the background. They'll
Hmm.
do random stuff. The Japanese sit there respectfully until something happens. Somebody gets hit clean, then you hear like ah, like all at the same time. So it's definitely going to be a cool time. And plus, it's their Madison Square Garden, but in Japan, So it's if you're a fighter, you need to fight in Madison Square Garden. You need to fight at Saitama Arena, and there's a handful of other places. But I'm gonna get the privilege to be in one of them.
Yeah, and then another thing that to make note of for this fight is that you're gonna be fighting at 130 instead of 125. So I gotta think that you're kind of that's kind of a plus there as well. You don't have to cut that extra 5 pounds. No,
Yeah, man.
sorry, you would be, but sorry, you wouldn't be cutting the extra 10.
I believe I was given the opportunity to fight, high level people at 125 for Risen, but I wanted to be sure that I can compete well against those guys, not just make weight, but also compete well against those guys. And I wanted to do my catch weight at 130 for Brave, and then when it went to Risen, they were like, "Oh, 125 and 135." I was like, "Well, going to a whole new country. I don't know what they're gonna have. Let's just play it safe, just in case, because I've been to different countries and they don't have the necessities that I use to cut weight. So I was like, let me just do it at 135. And they were both, in a sense, flyweights, not bumping up to bantamweight, but I have fought at bantamweight before. They looked at my resume. They're like, how about this? We still want to fight you. It's an honorable fight, but let's make it at a catchweight. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is the best case scenario. So it's a nice transition down to flyweight. And then after the fight, be able to go back home for a little bit, enjoy myself, and then come back down to Mexico City to help corner Lazy Boy. So I'm going to be staying in shape and trying my best to, again, make it a lifestyle change and go eventually down to flyweight and fight some of the best in the world.
That's excellent. So that being said, so when are you planning on going down to Japan? I mean, I would think you have to have a couple weeks, right?
I would love that, but see with Brave, I have, I've known Brave before they were even part of Brave, before that was a company. So when it comes to going out there early, I have things already set up. I was in Bahrain before Brave was even a company yet. But Japan is a whole different thing, and especially because of New Year's, oh my gosh, like right now an average, like a very average hotel room, a DoubleTree, a Marriott, or whatever, is like $300, $400
Oh my
because
God.
it's New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Yeah,
Yeah.
that whole and plus we, Christmas, all that stuff. So I'm flying out fight week. I get there, we leave December 27th. I get there December 28th, and then after the fight, I'm gonna enjoy only 2 days just because it is so expensive. Like we're still looking for hotels now, just for the extra 2 days. And again, a regular hotel room is like $300. And then you're like, okay, cool. Maybe I'll go over here. It's 250, but then it's a decent ways away from, the main town center, the real sites that you want to see. So I'm like, okay, what sacrifices need to be made? Do I use my points? How does this work? So I'm trying to figure some stuff out. But yeah, I wish I could stay longer, but it's also a much shorter flight than what it was to Mauritius in Africa, what it is to Bahrain, what it is to other places. I believe it's only a 15-hour flight. So that's not horrible, but it is a 15-hour time difference to where I'm at right now. So that's the only thing I need to figure stuff out beforehand. I need to kind of get my sleep schedule acclimated before I even leave to Japan.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then talking about your opponent, I'm not gonna say his name right. Mikado, Mikado. Oh man,
Yeah, it's like
the guy had to
Mikado
be Japanese.
Shimurayu.
Come on, the
Yeah.
guy had to be Japanese. Besides knowing that at least he's about your height and your size, and you're
Oh,
not fighting. You're not fighting Nkosi again.
Dude, my
uh,
last my last four fights, besides three of them being in
been all
Kosi,
tall
like 6 feet
guys.
tall, the one before him was just as tall and big. He used to be a lightweight, you know. So for
Yeah.
me, being able to finally fight someone my size, like I've been sparring with Lazy Boy and some of the guys here down in Mexico City, and they all been around give or take my size. And obviously, the shorter they get, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can punch them without having to do so much just to get on the inside, or I can take them down, or I can do certain things. I can reach them compared to, again, the whole John Jones, Daniel Cormier, like Cormier easily an Olympic level wrestler, but why did John Jones take him down so many more times? Dude, that height difference, you know how hard it is to practice for that? The height, the length, like that
Hmm.
becomes a factor. You have to use different types of moves to these different types of people. So finally fighting someone my size, I'm like, oh, this is great, especially again throughout this whole long year that I've had. It's almost like, thank you. I appreciate that. I needed that. Thank you.
Thanks God.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and this guy, he's out. I think he's from Miyagi, Japan. There, shout out to Cobra Kai there. But yeah, this guy's out from Miyagi, Japan. Did you? So when they gave you the guy's name, did you know anything about him? Did you like what? What do you guys know so far, and what are you kind of expecting from a fighter like him?
I mean, I know he fought one of my former teammates, Kyoji Horiguchi, and I saw the fight, and he
Hmm.
did pretty well for the most part,
Yeah,
given
at
he
Bellator.
he
Yeah.
he did eventually die out, and Kyoji was able to get a submission win. And given again, Kyoji's not a wrestler. He's good on the ground, but he's not a wrestler. His style is karate style. He's a stand-up fighter. And but Kyoji's one of the best in the world, and he's able to adapt very fast. So it's like, okay, you lost to one of the best. Then you lost to two other fighters that are also high level, given I don't know their names, but they're also high level, not as high as Kyoji, but that's a really, really hard test. And hopefully one day I do get to fight, Mr. Horiguchi himself, as I believe he fights the same day I do for defending his belt against another South African. Coincidentally, we're all fighting Africans now. But with that being said, man, he's young, he's enthusiastic, and there's the pros and cons for me. The pro is he's easily a fun fighter. He's young, he's enthusiastic. He's that kid that like looks at stuff and he's like, screw it, I'm gonna do it. Compared to us, we're older, we start to think about stuff like, oh, I could do this, it'd be cool, but oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? He's young and careless. Have you seen any of his first rounds? He explodes,
So
he tries to finish you, he does
yeah.
whatever, karate style, super fast, but he also dies out after that first round if he can't finish you. And given he's not known to be a finisher, then me, I'm known to have longer fights, which I completely love and appreciate. So it's the pro and con. Can he finish me in the first round, or can I have him die out and then me do what I want to do in the second and third?
Yeah, and for yourself, I know you're not trying to give out game plans or whatever you guys are
Yeah.
working on, but like when you get, do you feel like that's kind of what you guys are looking at? You're looking to get through the first round, or like, are you just kind of seeing how it goes? Um,
I mean, we
I,
definitely got to see how it goes no matter what. But the fact is,
yeah,
he's fast and he has a karate style where he's very linear. So that
yeah,
sideways stance, bouncing.
very sideways, yeah,
And because of his speed, can I catch him? If I can, awesome. The fight's going to be done very early. But if I can't catch him, how long until I finally can catch him? And in that process, can I defend myself properly while trying to move in? Because it's a ring, given it's not a huge ring, but it's a ring. Obviously, they've had professional boxing fights in there. They've had Manny Pacquiao. Now they have Ryan Garcia fighting. So it's a good sized ring. But there's also four corners compared to an octagon or a cage where you can circle, you can spin. Me, I can cut you off one direction, and there you go. I'm in front of you. So how long can that last, and how long can you keep that movement for until I'm able to at least be in striking distance or able to get a hold of him?
yeah, yeah. And that being said, so with Rizin rules, are there any rules that are slightly different than maybe like bigger promotions that everyone knows, like UFC? Like I know they just came back with the 12 to 6 elbows. What's legal and what's illegal in Rizin?
So everything for the most part is the same thing.
Pretty
Elbows,
universal. Pretty
it's
yeah,
all very universal.
yeah.
Same thing now with the 12 to 6, all that stuff. But for people who don't know, I can soccer kick someone. If someone's
Oh,
laying
that's
on the floor and they're not moving, I can stomp on their head. I can literally curb stomp someone. Like this is brutal, which is hilarious because we've actually been practicing it. I finished sparring today and I finished sparring on Tuesday, and we're like, screw it. Like let's bet. They're like, Shorty, if we stomp on your head or we soccer kick you, you got to take us all out to dinner. I was like, all right, bet. And do it vice versa. And one of the guys today tried to take me down, and I was able to get around. And he was trying to escape, and I'm like, yeah, and I was able to, nice and light kick him, and he's like, damn it, So I'm getting a free dinner. But dude, the soccer kicks are a huge game changer because even after he got kicked, he goes, I forgot you could do that. It's so like, for example, if I get stuck in the front headlock, I can't stay there. I can't put my hands on the ground and be like, okay, I'm safe. I have to move. That's one of the best and worst things about, the international rules, ONE FC and Rizin, is you can curve stomp someone. I can soccer kick you. There's always action, but there's also that fear of, oh, somebody might really get hurt if they take a good shot.
And that's it, right? Like that's one thing I think it's freaking awesome. So unfortunately, I've never really watched many Risen fights. I've seen a couple odd ones. I think when Johnny Hollywood Case, I think he fought a couple times in Risen. I chatted with him when he was out in Korea. I think during maybe it was Japan, maybe it was Korea. I don't know where he was at, but he fought in Risen. So I had to watch one of his fights. But besides that, I have not seen many. So like, I'm actually I'm gonna be able to watch the fight, obviously, and I'm actually pretty excited. Like, it's crazy how you look at, oh, everybody wants to go watch UFC, whatever. Like, that's fine. But then you go to Risen and you're seeing someone getting like curb stomp. Like, that's fucking, yeah, like that's real fighting. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that's like street fighting, except it's like legal.
If you watch the guy who's fighting Pantoja, Asakura or
As
something like that,
Ascaro, yeah.
he fought
I believe
Manel
he came
Cape
from,
twice.
yeah,
Yes, yes. He was the Risen Bantamweight champion, and he
yeah.
fought Manel Cape twice. He fought Kyoji, knocked out Kyoji, and given he got knocked out by Manel Cape, but in that process of both those fights, dude, when they were on the ground, because they're known to be stand-up fighters, they were trying to get up and soccer kick each other and all that stuff. Again, that's the pro and con about Risen is the fear of you getting kicked in the head, but the fact is there's always action. You can't just put your hands on the ground or cool, I can relax a little bit. If I'm in side mount, I can just knee you in the head. I can knee you in the face. I can't just go for submission and try to punch your body and try to punch you and then, too much space and you're out. Too much space, I can just randomly flick out a kick and if it hits you, there goes your teeth. So it is a scary for me, but super epic thing for the fans, but also again for the promotion. There's nothing but action, so it's not boring. It's never ever boring. And they also have, I believe, I could be wrong, but they also have like a stalling rule. So you have to have action. It can't be a boring fight.
And so I don't know how much you've been told. I know you got your fight and you know
Mhm.
where to go and all that. I don't know how much they told you, but a rumor that I heard with Risen is that you get to keep your gloves after the fight.
I mean, I hope. Most promotions, actually, all the promotions I've
You
been part
should,
of
yeah, you should.
technically do. And I know Risen has, I don't know if they're the Everlast gloves or whatever, but they're
But they're
curved.
like the green, then they're like the green ones, I think, and it
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
says
and
Risen on. But yeah, it's kind of unique, and they look smaller, almost like a smaller style. It's almost
I
like
don't
more
I don't
curved.
know I don't know if they're smaller, but yes, they're definitely curved. I know Bellator uses the same types of gloves,
Yeah.
and I think honestly that's the glove everyone should be using because for two
Hmm.
reasons. One, man, I don't want to do the John Jones to people. I've accidentally done it. Other people have accidentally done it to me. But then also is even if I try, it's almost I'm not saying impossible, but almost impossible. It's a fight to bring your finger straight to poke someone in the eye. So also, let's say you bum rush me and I get caught off guard. Sometimes I might not even close my hand. I'll just flick my hand out there, to kind of keep you away. This keeps my fingers down and helps me protect my hand more by creating a fist compared to I'm just doing this and like, keeping you away and I can break a finger or poke your eyes out or even scratch you with a nail by accident. So I really do enjoy their gloves. And I remember training with Kyoji. Actually, my very first Titan FC fight, they had the same type of gloves. Again, I believe they're made by Everlast. I could be horribly wrong, but Everlast used to make curved MMA gloves. And I'm just like, yo, these are nice. And they just again they make the fist, and I feel like it just adds a natural maybe it's just the placebo effect, but it feels like more protection to me.
Yeah, and then that being said, you're on a huge card.
Hmm.
This is, I mean, you got Ryan Garcia. I mean, literally going to be headlining this card. I mean, what are your thoughts about this? I mean, this is a big event. This big main event. Who would you have in this event?
I honestly don't know because I don't know much about the Japanese opponent. But I mean, I know he's doing the show, wearing the glasses, talking smack to Ryan Garcia. It's kind of doing the American thing, and it's very out of the
Hmm.
ordinary for a Japanese fighter because again, they're so honorable and respectful.
Yeah,
But I get it; it sells tickets, and plus now they're also on Fanmio, so I'm assuming, or safely assuming, that they're gonna get some type of pay-per-view numbers. Now, given I'm on the pay-per-view, but I'm technically on the undercard. So even though you have to order the pay-per-view to see me, I don't know what fight order I'm at. I don't know if I'm the co-main event. I don't know if I'm the first fight. But I believe there's 5 fights on that main card, one of them being myself. Yay. But the cool thing about that is, dude, I'm gonna be, pay-per-view in the States. This is my first time really being pay-per-view, if you want to say like a high stakes pay-per-view. Saitama Arena, the MSG of Japan, and you have a very, very high level guy that's super popular. It's going to bring so many people to watch. So for me, even sponsorship opportunity, it's like I'm almost kind of using Ryan Garcia's name. Like, hey, I'm on this card, not just fan meal, but I'm on this card and part of Rizin. Like, it's going to
yeah,
be shown everywhere in the States, not just worldwide. So it's a cool thing, but I don't know how it works because they're going to be showing it live. So do I fight at 8 in the morning? Do I fight at 11 in the morning? How does that, because there's a 15-hour difference.
yeah.
And then they also have the Risen fights later on in the day because it's part one and part three. I don't know what the hell part two is. I don't know if they just skip it. I don't know if that's the intermission because they haven't announced that. But part one is my card. And if right now, so far, it's 5 fights. It's on Fanmail. And then they have a whole separate card, which is Risen, which is the Japanese network. So if you want to buy that, it's a whole separate thing, not exclusive to Fanmail. So
Oh,
it's,
okay.
I don't know how it works. As long as I get paid, I don't care. But dude, I'm just happy to fight on a card to where I'm also, I believe, one of 2 MMA fights on the Fanmail card. So I know you have Ryan Garcia, you have another Amado Vargas versus Ryan Garcia's brother for the rematch, another boxing match, and
Yeah.
then there's one more. I can't remember. It's like a Filipino guy and somebody else. I can't remember. But then it's me and then a heavyweight match that are 2 MMA fights. So I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm assuming they're gonna do boxing, MMA, boxing, MMA, boxing, just to keep the fans entertained.
You know, man, before I talk about Ryan Garcia, I feel like you need to come out, walking out. You got your fight shorts and everything. Have like a samurai sitting there with like the mask on, the whole thing. That'd be awesome. I know, you don't have to, but like I think that'd be sweet. Just do a little tribute to Japan and
That we're thinking of doing something. So there's one Dragon Ball
all right,
Super
okay,
song that I really enjoy that I really want to come out to. I know there's the original Dragon Ball song, which they have it here in Spanish, coincidentally in Mexico, which I could
okay,
do, but it doesn't get me like hype. I know the crowd would be like, "Oh, it's in Spanish, like that's all, it's honorable,
yeah,
But
it's cool,
I
yeah,
really like the other song. It still relates to Dragon Ball. It's actually one of the more popular Dragon Ball Super songs, but we were thinking about doing something given I have to walk out with a Brave t-shirt. That's part of my contract just because I'm representing Brave for this fight. Um, but I can't do anything to cover it, but I'm thinking about maybe, wearing the wig or I'm gonna do braids in my fight, so I can't, do anything. So I'm thinking of maybe buying a wig and doing the whole Dragon Ball, like Super Saiyan or Goku or
yeah, that'd be
Vegeta
cool.
look or some type of armor or having Lazy and Mike walk because Lazy Boy's coming with me, Mike Gonzalez is coming with me. Maybe they'll wear some stuff that'll be just funny, or maybe we'll do like an Israel Adesanya where we're not dancing, but obviously we're doing some type of scenario and I'm kamehameha somebody or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, you know what, man? Like, and the cool thing is that at least in now that you're fighting under Risen, or at least in this event, you can have your own
Mm-hmm.
music this time, right?
Oh, dude, it's funny because I'm looking at the fighter sheet, which I still have to fill out, like who's my corners, the walkout song, the sponsors, stuff like that. And I'm like, wait, I get to pick a song? Oh my gosh, I haven't picked out a song since like
Man, you gotta get your
2020.
Kanye West back out, man.
As much as I'd love, and I think if I were to come out to Kanye, it'd have to be stronger because his video was
Oh,
shot in
hell yeah.
Japan for the thing.
Hell
But
yeah.
I just think because I'm such an anime lover, like it has to be something Dragon Ball related. And plus, like it's actually a song. In the anime, it's an end credit song, and it's like Goku running while his life, in a sense, is like passing him by, like all the people he's met and stuff. And I'm just like, dude, I think that's a perfect song. Like I'm in Japan. It's an anime theme. My life was right in front of me. I got two people who brought me up for the past year. Like it's gonna be a dope event. I got people at home supporting me. Like it's gonna be life passing me by, and it motivates me. It makes me want to run inside the ring, which also is very different. It's a freaking ring, not a cage. So even today, like trying to take down people on the cage, I'm like, oh, this is easy. It's normal. Oh wait, it's going to be very different in in the ring because sometimes your arms get caught in the ropes or somebody's kind of semi falling out or whatever. So it's very different.
You know what? You should do like WWE and just like run
Yeah,
across
just
one way, hit the ropes, and come back and like clothesline someone. I don't know. Forget the judo, just like clothesline somebody. I don't know, but I think for sure. Like I think once you get in there, I'm sure it'll be you kind of get used to it. But I think because getting used to doing takedowns, you're used to using the cage, and the person has nowhere to go except unless they're going to hold on to the cage. They got nowhere to go. They're going down if you can, but it's obviously much harder to get them down in the middle of the cage there. So it's I think
it's
that's gonna be a process for sure.
it's a little difficult because some of my favorite submissions actually come off of the cage.
Yeah,
So I need a wall in a sense for you not to be able to back up to a certain point, and then I could put that pressure. But you have a ring, it bends a little bit because the elastic or the ropes, and then also you have the holes in between the ropes, so your butt can stick
oh
out, your
shit,
shoulder
yeah,
can stick out. If if you really want to, in a sense, kind of I wouldn't say cheat, but in a sense like, oh, I'm kind of running away from the submission and stick your head out, you technically could, given people on the outside, they actually have people designated to like push fighters back in there just in case they're falling out or they're grabbing onto the ropes. They like slap your hand and pull your hand
yeah,
off. Like it's actually really funny and they do it really fast. It's kind of like the NASCAR drivers, the change the tire real fast. And I'm like, oh, it's the same thing, but with the rule set. So again, like it's a fight where you have no choice but to fight. If not, I think they still have yellow and red cards. I could be horribly wrong. I know they had that in Pride.
Well, and with the rings too, I know. So you got like obviously you got like the ropes there, and then but like the I don't know what you call them, just the I don't know I don't know cage, I don't know boxing cage or the ring terms, but like the posts that are in the four
Yeah, the
corners,
corner.
right? Yeah, the
Yeah,
corner, I guess, but like I don't know what's made out of, like just padding, whatever. I guess you have
yeah.
that padding, so you could technically use that if you really want to like set up something.
If I were able to get to that point, which I believe would be, I would say decently easy. The only hard part is I'm also now like constricted in my mobility of what I'm able to do. So if he has that little part behind him and I'm trying to reach around him, I might reach around that pole. I might reach around that pad by accident. I might put in too much effort into trying to get this takedown. So again, it's really weird. And now it's easier for him to escape either left or right. I can push in, but he has the opportunity to just kind of literally kind of again the boxing thing of like hook me in and then now I'm stuck in the corner and he's able to attack forward. So it's a cool thing. I'm just excited because he's young, he's in a sense just wild. Again, that careless but hungry youthfulness and then it's the courageous youthfulness that I miss is again it reminds me of me and but the thing is I have the experience over him. Given yes, he has more fights than me professionally, but when it comes to high level people, he's lost to some of the best in the world. I do consider myself one of the best in the world. Again, we'll find out, December 31st. But the fact is, it's fun. It's motivating. Plus, I'm 32. I'm not young, nor am I old by any means. But the fact is, like, I don't want this 4-year-old to beat me. Like, how
Yeah,
prideful I am about that. Like, I don't want, in a sense, in my head, which makes me feel fucking old, is I'm like, I don't want this kid to beat me. That's how I feel. Like, Lazy Boy is now 25. Anytime he hits me with something that's actually clean, I'm like, oh, okay, we're fighting. Let's go. Like, I'm not gonna let you win the day. You might have won that punch at this little round, but I'm not gonna let you win this fight. So it's a very competitive thing, and that's what's gonna make me excited too. Is I have both Mike and Lazy Boy in my corner. I have not just a team, but actual friends or brothers that will be able to talk to me properly and wake me up. So, and I think it's gonna be a lot more fun, especially now cutting down to 130. Lazy
yeah.
Boy does struggle to make weight, so going through his grind to make weight, um, and seeing the struggle he goes, like I'm fearful of it. I don't want to do it, but I know now that he's gonna be there and our roles are gonna be reversed. He's gonna be pushing me, and I'm like, damn. One, I get to make 130, not 125, and then two, he makes weight and he pushes and he doesn't give up. and he's 25. Fuck, I gotta do it. It's like I gotta be prideful. So it's gonna help push and motivate me more because him and I are very competitive against each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like you got to show him what's up, you know?
Yeah,
It's
well,
like,
I
yeah,
need to be the big brother. I need to be the big brother. I'm a
yeah,
coach for a reason, right? I can't give up on him when he fights March 29th, and then out of nowhere he's cutting weight, and then he's gonna be like, you know what, I'm done. Why? Because you did it. Like you ended up fine. Like I don't want to do that. So I need to set the example as well.
yeah. And also on that note, I want to talk about Ryan Garcia. What are your thoughts about him coming from boxing to MMA? Because we've seen some boxers do actually quite well, like Clarissa Shields, like going from boxing, probably one of the best, maybe the go to women's boxing, going from boxing to MMA, and she's kind of done quite well, all things considered. So, what are your thoughts
Is
about Ryan Garcia?
is this a boxing fight or an MMA fight?
I'm pretty sure it's MMA. Okay, maybe it is a boxing fight. Maybe I'm wrong. I didn't know Rizin does like cross pollination kind of thing with sports. I didn't know
I
that.
was like,
Maybe
I'm looking this up
I'm
just
pretty
in
sure that
case.
he wanted to do MMA. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know much about the
No,
fight. I just knew he was fighting.
no, you're definitely not wrong about that. Let's see. Two superstars, December 13th, Rizin fan meal. Oh God, I know it's gonna be coming somewhere, but I personally believe it's a boxing fight. Again, I could be
Okay.
wrong. It just says special exhibition, so I don't know what it is per se yet. Oh gosh, yeah, it's the only bad thing is everything's special exhibition, yada 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 yada. But if it is an MMA fight, fuck, he's gonna lose. But if it's boxing, which I believe it will be, because I know Pacquiao's done risen fights before, and Floyd
Oh, okay.
Mayweather stuff like that. So I could be wrong, but I do believe it's a boxing fight. If it's MMA, Ryan Garcia lost. Like no offense, he's gonna get taken down. It's gonna be the whole what was the guy that Randy Couture beat? Tony something. I can't. I'm so upset that I can't remember his name. But he was the boxer that came in
Yeah, I know
and
who
just
you're
got
thinking of.
and he just got taken down and dominated in like a minute. That's the fact of Floyd Mayweather is one of the best in the world. And there's a reason why he easily beat Conor McGregor. But you change the rules, nah, man, he's not gonna
E-
last.
even if Connor fought him, he said, "Okay, I won't do takedowns." I think in a MMA fight, I think Mayweather he might do all right because he's on the feet, but I think because the way Connor can move and how his with his the stance that he has, I think
Mm-hmm.
in an MMA fight with kicks and the way they move differently, it's an octagon, it's a little bit different. I think Mayweather would have a trouble with the adjustment of with the threat of kicks and whatnot. So for sure, I mean that's a different story, and that will never happen. I mean, never say never, but I mean, the guy's like almost 50, so it's probably not going to happen. But
Mm-hmm.
then again, you got, Mike Tyson at 58 fighting a 29-year-old. So who never knows. But that being said, yeah, with Risen, I think that's kind of, I think it's exciting to see him go to somewhere like Risen that's more of a MMA organization, but it is kind of cool to kind of see him go over there and be able to, just bring some, uh, just the Western world kind of over to Japan again and to be able to just bring his name over and do a lot of things for athletes and I mean for yourself, you being able to be part of that big card, I think that's awesome. Just in
Oh,
general.
I'm I feel phenomenally honored to be on, part of this card,
Hmm.
because like you said, he's doing big things. He's bringing the West to the East, and he's also, I mean, given it's technically for him a selfish reason, which again, understandably so, he's a huge name. He's like, wait, I can make more money pay-per-view wise by myself. I don't have to rely on Haney and whoever else he's beaten and all these different guys,
Hmm.
Javante Davis, all these other showboats. Again, they're all superstars and rightfully so. But he goes, wait, I can make the same amount of money, if not more, or close to the amount in Japan against someone lesser. It's like Mayweather fighting Conor. Like he's popular, let me take advantage. Let's bring him, wherever we need to bring him to really make a scene. And if I can make money without having to really train as hard, without really having to kill myself, without having to be worried about a fight that's super serious. Oh, dude, that's amazing. Like, so I think Ryan Garcia is doing some huge things by himself, but then also helping Fanmio, helping Vargas, helping his other brother, I believe it's David Garcia. I could be wrong. Helping myself, helping other Latinos in the card, and just the Japanese fighters. Like, People want to know. Like you look at the UFC event this weekend. Again, you have a Japanese fighter fighting the main event, fighting for the belt. His very first fight in UFC. It's a
Yeah, bro
reason.
has bro he hasn't even had one UFC fight. That's insane.
But it's also for a reason. People want like Dana knows how popular Japan is.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Oh,
they've already created
100%.
US. They've already created. You think about it this way: there's a Chinese champion. They made a UFC PI in China. There
Yep.
was really good Mexican fighters coming out of nowhere, and then Lazy Boy. They made UFC Mexico, or Brandon Moreno. They made UFC
Brandon Moreno.
Mexico,
Yeah. Alexa
and
Grasso. Yeah.
now they're trying to do more. I believe they're trying to do Abu Dhabi. I think they're trying to do
Yeah.
Australia. They're trying to expand, and Japan is going to be one of those places. And look at the other.
Well.
Again, I'm sad I don't know his name, but the other Japanese fighter who fought Brandon Royval and Alex Perez. Like, there's a reason he skyrocketed so fast because he's so
Mm-hmm.
damn popular. Those Japanese people follow each other, and again the life of the samurai. Like they live by the sword, die by the sword. That's their fighting nature. So they always put on a show, and I think Dana knows that. So he goes, you know what? Let's give this kid a chance. He's fought Manel Cabe, he's fought Kyoji, he's fought all these guys. Let's give him a chance. And if he wins, even that they no offense to Pantoja, a great champion, but they want him to lose. He's not as entertaining as these other fighters.
Yeah, well, if you want to jump right into that fight, I was going to bring it up, but with Askira, I think now coming from a perspective, just looking as a fan perspective, I think a lot of people are thinking like, what the fuck? The guy's never fought in the UFC. You got
Mm-hmm.
other guys that could go for the title. What the hell, UFC? But when you look at it as a professional, and if you look at it as a company, I understand what Dana White's doing, and as you said it best. But also on top of that, I think too, he wouldn't have had this guy fight for the title if he didn't think that this kid has every shot, has more than a 50% shot at winning the belt. Like I don't think
Mm-hmm.
they just threw him in there if they knew this kid could probably beat Pantoja. I think that they have a feeling it was no different than they've had some other guys that they brought in. I'll never forget when Volkan Ozdemir, he came in the UFC. Granted, I think he was like a replacement, but they wouldn't have had him come in and replace someone at like number 3 or number 4 spot
Mm-hmm.
unless they knew he could compete at that level. No different than your Prohaska, same thing. I think he fought. I think it was Volkan Ozdemir or somebody else in same situation. They bring these guys in, and I mean, maybe it won't work out for Askera. It might not. He might get beat by Pantoja because Pantoja is very talented. He's very good. But the fact is that with UFC, they're pretty smart when it comes to decisions like that, and they don't just make the decision and say, "Oh, screw you,
Mm-hmm.
top 5 guys. You're not gonna make you wait. I'm gonna bring this kid in because he's exciting." No, there's a lot of things going for the UFC, and yes, the UFC is going to do whatever works for the UFC, what is going to make them more money. It's sad to
Oh, for
say,
sure.
but it's true. It's true. Come on,
But who else is going to fight for the title? Brandon
and that's
Moreno's
it.
already lost to Pantoja multiple times.
Yep.
Alex Perez is injured. The Japanese fighter just lost to Brandon Royval. Brandon
Yeah.
Royval just lost to Pantoja. Manel Cape just lost to Muhammad Mokaev. Muhammad Mokaev got released and went overseas. Amir Abazi just lost to Brandon Moreno. So who do you have? I'm pretty sure I just named the top 5 or top 6. So you technically
Exactly.
don't have anyone worthy. And before that, they had the number 10 guy given up. Sadly, and not disrespectfully, I don't know his name, but he lost to Pantoja in Brazil. Given they used him because he got a knock on his last fight and they wanted to really boast him up. And that's fine. I get that. But then he lost, and it's like, oh, it's who do we put against Pantoja? All these guys are, in a sense, number 2 for sure because they either are coming off of a loss or they've already lost to Pantoja. So they need technically someone new. They're not going to pull another number 10 guy because that also makes the UFC flyweight division, I think, look bad. So let's bring in another champion. And again, it makes sense. But if you don't know this guy, you don't know Rizin, you don't know his accolades and who he's beaten, it makes no sense to you. So money wise, I think it makes sense. Accolade wise, it makes sense. And with the UFC flyweight division, Pantoja's dominant, man. Even before he was champion.
Yeah, and I think with the matchup itself, so I did look up a little bit at Askira. The guy is freaking good. He's
Oh
got
yeah,
a lot of finishes.
he's
Um,
big as hell too.
Yeah, and he's very big. Oh God, he's really big. And Pantoja, the thing is, he's so talented and he's good, but I think he's so comfortable with going with 5 rounds, and he's okay with that, which can work in his favor if he can slow the guy's pace. The problem is, I think this guy's just so good and he's so determined. He's already talked about a quote today. I talked to the media day. He's determined to knock up Pantoja in the first round. I mean, he's got that mindset. Like, so he's coming in guns blazing and he's talented enough with the hands. So Pantoja's, I mean, he can get touched. He has been touched. So it's, I think this is a really, really dangerous fight. However, if Pantoja can win this fight, and I mean, if he can win it convincingly, and I mean, he can take the guy down and put him away early or just put him away in general. I mean that skyrockets Pantoja's career as well. So I think it
Mhm.
works. It's a win-win for both guys. And even if this guy
It's
loses, he first fight of the UFC and it's a title fight. You lost. Okay, that's not a big deal. Go back and win a couple of
mhm.
fights in the UFC, and you're going to be in the UFC, no doubt. So.
It's a win for if the Japanese fighter wins. I believe it's a semi lose if Pantoja wins because again they're trying to get him out. He's not again. This is no disrespect to him. Like he's a phenomenal fighter, but he's not the most exciting fighter. It's kind of like when they had
Mhm.
Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley isn't exciting. Like he's phenomenal, all that stuff, but yeah, he's had some fights. So you're like, ah, man, I kind of wish he'd lose so there'd be somebody else, you know. And then Kamaru Usman came into play, and then eventually was great until he was kind of plateauing as well. So they always want to cycle through again the whole dominant champion effect. Anderson Silva, GSP, the DJ. They eventually were like, dude, we need somebody new. This the same thing over and over again gets stale, even the best of fans. Like you want to see these champions lose. Like we want to. Again, I'm not saying I do, but like people want to see Pantoja lose, bring somebody new, and then there's new battles. Brandon Moreno versus him, Amir Abazi versus him, Manel K3. Like that would be fucking. I believe if they have that fight, Manel K3, it's gonna just blow everything out of proportion. I think it's gonna be a phenomenal thing, but I think Pantoja's game plan, and I could be wrong, is because he does get hit, is he's gonna do what he did to Alex Perez. Is he's gonna have to bum rush him. Because if he fights at a distance, he's gonna get hit. Pantoja's done a lot
Mhm.
better with his head movement and stuff like that, but you look at the fight with Brandon Moreno. Moreno is a good boxer, but I don't believe he's like the Japanese fighter. He doesn't hit as hard. He's clean, but he doesn't hit as hard. This guy is trying to knock your head off. Hopefully, this guy doesn't also DQ himself by, doing any soccer kicks. But Pantoja is going to have to bum rush him just to get on the ground, just to be able to clinch with this guy. And that's going to be how Pantoja tries to win this fight. But I honestly do give a slight advantage because of the size and the size, the reach, and the power of the Japanese fighter. But, and there's a big but, and I know this from personal experience, this is, I don't know if it's his first time, but for sure in a long time, back down to flyweight. So, how is his body going to feel? One, is he going to make weight? Two, you know, is he going to be able to recoup and rehydrate well enough to compete at his best? And then three, is he going to have the same amount of power and the same gas tank as he usually does at bantamweight? Those are the
Mhm.
big questions that's why I believe Pantoja is going to bum rush him to try to survive the first and second round and just work him, especially grappling on the ground to where now the third, fourth, and fifth, he doesn't have that power. Now this guy's a little more tired. Now he's more open for submissions because he's not a ground fighter. So there's that pro and con. The Japanese fighter has the advantage in the beginning, but Pantoja definitely has the advantage at the end.
Well, and that brings up one thing for you. You're cutting to 130. Now, I know you're cutting
Mm-hmm.
just 5 more pounds, but you're cutting 5 more pounds.
Mm-hmm.
When you're working on cardio, you're working on a lot of things. Is there something that you do different in training to work with the cardio because you are still cutting more weight than you normally would at 135?
It's crazy. I'm in altitude here. It sucks. It's like, dude,
No,
just your first
no
day
doubt.
here, it
Yeah.
sucks. And now I'm cutting weight or slowly dropping weight to eventually cut weight. I'm trying to get down to 140 naturally, 142, and then do the big weight cut fight week. But it's a process. For me, I'm trying to make sure that I can compete and I'm pushing myself even when I don't want to. I think for me now, it's just mental fortitude. I have to stay strong. I have my trauma from cutting weight in wrestling in high school and college, and for sure in my professional career, which I had my fair share of regrets. But now I'm taking into it, and I don't want to be the hypocrite. I'm telling Lazy, for example, all the things that he should be doing to stay productive, to stay ready, to stay in shape, to have a lifestyle change, and that's what I've been able to do living here in Mexico City with Miguel Gonzalez. So the biggest thing is changing my diet, changing my lifestyle, Two is doing the things that I told myself that I was gonna do, whether, I feel horrible today or not. Okay, cool. Hey, man, I was doing this at bantamweight. I can do it. And then also, I'm a small bantamweight. Is it going to be a struggle to make flyweight? For sure. But I am blessed to have this transition opportunity to go to 130. And honestly, the last weight cut I had against Nkosi in Africa, I lost 8 pounds in one workout in 3 hours. So if I can do that then, and I felt like in a sense if I had to, because I didn't know I lost 8 pounds until I checked my weight, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna work out at night again. All right, cool. I guess I gotta do it. And then I was like, oh, I get to relax, and then I just left and then, was able to just relax and sleep off or the rest of the day, lose the 2 pounds. So for me, I believe 5 pounds is going to be just an extra workout. And I believe it's going to be an added process. But I've also been training for 7 months and having a lifestyle change for 7 months. So hopefully my body's a little smaller. I've lost, definitely some muscle, but it's crazy that I still feel as strong, if not stronger, in certain positions. So I'm super excited for it. Just not the actual week, but that's 1 week compared to you know. I'd rather have a week of pain than a career full of regrets. How about that?
No, I like your perspective. I like your perspective. Um, and then yeah, so when you're cutting the one, so you plan on fighting out flyweight now. What's the process looking like after your fights? Like, how are you? Is there anything that you need to do because you're cutting a lot more and you haven't done it for a long time, and how your body's going to react to that? So after the fight, how is your diet look like after? How to have a little bit of cheat meals? Like, what does that look like for you? Or do you
You know
know? Or
that's
will you know?
that's actually the craziest thing is again, when I was younger, I would make weight and not easily. Beginning I easy, and then as I grew into my
As you
age, I
age,
got
yeah.
thicker and
Yeah.
thicker, and then it became a lot more difficult. I'm like, oh damn, I can't be as cocky or arrogant, and given I still was.
Yeah.
And with the UFC, my biggest regret was I wasn't staying ready. I was training, but I was being a jackass. Like I was like, oh cool, I'm out of fight camp. I'm gonna go have some cake and just overindulge because again, that wrestler mindset of I don't know what I'm gonna eat again. So let me just enjoy this food until I have to cut weight. And now I've been here for 2 months, and Mike was with me in Vegas as well for Lazy Boys Camp, and then my supposed camps for those supposed fights. He cooked for me majority of the time, and if not was with me, and I'm like, gotta eat it, And so he was in a sense holding my hand and babying me and telling me, giving me a lifestyle change. So I've been accustomed to stuff, and even on the weekends during this fight camp, we've been going out and having cake. I've been having tacos. I've been having tostadas. I've been having different things, enchiladas and just all. I've had cereal almost every other night, but we portion it and we've been able to work some things out. So it's become a really cool lifestyle change instead of like, oh, I got this 2 3 month fight
And
camp. Fuck. So
and the
I'm
thing is,
hoping
sorry.
after this fight. No, I'm hoping after this fight when I am by myself. That yeah, cool. Let me indulge. I'm gonna go home. My mother loves me, so hopefully she cooks for me, and she's gonna make some stuff. But let me go. Cool, mom. Instead of this much, I'll still have it, but let me have this much. Let me be able to portion it so I can enjoy myself, enjoy your cooking, but then also not be a complete jackass to myself.
Yeah, and that being said, when you talked about having these certain foods, I assume you're doing it and you're doing it for a certain reason. So I assume like when you have your cereal at night, are you doing it after like whether you're doing your cardio to replenish your glucose levels? Is that what you're doing? Like you use foods for each certain time for certain things? Like would you use more of your carbs before maybe like sparring or what like what does that look like for you?
He's given. I'm not the a given. He's
Yeah,
not a nutritionist either,
you
but
got the
he's pretty.
winter cooking
But
for you.
he's
Yeah.
it's literally like I like for example, we'll go out to eat. We go out to eat at least twice a week, and
Okay.
places where I'm like, oh shit, I don't know if I can eat this, or like, oh, I gotta look at this part of the menu only. The ones that say like under so many calories, and he's like, no, 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 you can have this, just don't have this part, or no, no, you can have this. Like these are your options, and I'm like, oh, I get to have this. He goes, yeah, we'll just maneuver some stuff later on the day, so you still have your macros or whatever the hell. Like again, that's not my
Yeah.
thing, but he knows, and I put full trust in him to where I'm like, you know what, man, if I fail, we fail together. Like it's the
Yeah.
fact of I've never really had a team because I've been such a loner. I don't trust people, and he's gained my trust. Same thing with Lazy. So it's weird to open up because again, I'm like a turtle in the shell, like go fuck yourselves, leave me alone. For me, it's been a process, but I also know if I don't go 100%, like for example, if I give half the effort, I'm gonna get half the result, if not so much less. And I've
Exactly.
had that. I've had multiple regrets, especially during my UFC career, where I did an interview not too long ago, and they're like, "Oh, why do you think you lost this, that?" I'm like, "Oh, they were the better man that day," compared to my mindset of like, "Oh, I had this excuse and that excuse," and but I look at it as like one of the biggest things I regret, and something I explained to Lazy now because he gets so big in between fights, is like, dude, you have to make it a lifestyle change. Like, I get you want to enjoy stuff. I get your mother's cooking for you and doing this, and I 100% get
Yeah.
everything. But this career is also so short, and you want to be able to compete at your best and be as healthy as possible. It's not just for you, but you also have other people looking up to you. So for me, I want to be able to do the same for my people in Chicago and even people here in Mexico and wherever you are in the world. So I need to lead by example, and I failed to
Hmm.
do that when I was in my 20s. And I believe I have a really, really good opportunity at the end of the year to kind of revitalize my career in a proper way against somebody finally my height. But just with weight wise, to show to myself how disciplined and how much I actually do want it in this sport. I only have so many years left in this, and I know the healthier I am naturally, the longer my
Hmm.
career is gonna go. So I might as well enjoy it while I can. And I think finally going 100% is gonna help me out a lot.
Well, and the thing is too, as we age too, and this isn't just a not this isn't just being an athlete, but in general, like as you age, you realize all the stuff you're putting in your body, the stuff that's gonna get you through. Just
Hmm.
in general, I'm just talking about just being just a human being. You know what's poison and what's not, and it's crazy, man. Okay, so I go on social media and you get some people that go on there and they go on. I don't know if you ever watch these videos, but you get these people walking through grocery stores and they say you can eat this or you can eat this that has no has zero GMO and all this and all that, and it's like that's great. And then they're going through all this, like they're going through Costco or they're going through like Sam's Club or whatever, and they're showing all this great stuff. I don't know if you've seen any of those videos, but
Hmm.
there's this black dude from the UK and he's got the most UK accent and he's got like that very proper and English accent. He's going on. He's like, "This is fucking shit. This is all poison going in your
Hmm.
body." And he's like, and
It's good.
it's great. You know what the thing is? Uh, My problem that I have with a lot of these some of them influencers is that they just give a general idea to the public, and I'm not saying they're wrong. Like if they say this, I'll just say candy bar, whatever. It is like technically it is poison. Yes, a lot of people know that. But a lot of the times they're just saying stay away from this, stay away from that, stay away from that, and that's great. But I think that the point that they're missing is that might be helpful depending on what you're doing as an athlete or what your lifestyle is. If you're a bodybuilder, you might need to eat a certain amount of sugary things because to whatever you're accomplishing your goal, or if you are competing, you might have to cut weight, and if you're ahead of schedule of your weigh-in, you might have to add something bad in to help stall that, so you're not stall whatever you're at. And like for yourself, like, or for MMA fighters, you might have to eat a certain weight because of what weight cut you have to go down to, and over the
Hmm.
history, what works with your body. So if you have to eat a bowl of cereal at night, you're gonna eat a bowl of cereal at night, and that's fine. But I think a lot of these influencers, you go on social media, and I think they give a little bit of the wrong idea. They give a general idea of, yeah, that's great. That we get that, but that doesn't mean that that's gonna work for the general person, or it's
Hmm.
not realistic for the average person to be able to afford to buy just all eggs, chicken, rice, and broccoli. I'm sorry, it's
Oh,
not
dude.
realistic.
I've been
It's
going to
so
Costco every
expensive.
week. It's so
Oh
fucking
fuck
expensive.
yeah,
I
fuck
spend
yeah, it
almost
is.
200 a week, on just
Mm-hmm.
giving hits of text, right? Also, yay, but 200 a week on just the groceries for the fight camp. It's like, what? We're out of chicken, or we're out of this, we're out of that. I'm like, oh no, but I think honestly, out of my life and all the different experiences that I've been able to go when different sports that I've been in, the
Mm-hmm.
three biggest things that I give as um, a different perspective for people when it comes to fitness goals. And I think no matter what your fitness goal is, I believe these three things can help you. One is you don't always have to run. Everyone thinks, oh,
Hmm.
I got to lose weight, I got to run, or I got to lose weight, I got to do this crazy cardio. It's like, no. And most of us don't like running, or at least I don't believe so. Most of us don't like running, or we have bad knees or have injuries. Go for a walk. Just walk an
100%.
hour. I know it's not fun sometimes because you're like, oh, I'm gonna go for a walk, or whatever the case may be. Buy one of those little treadmills in your house, the small ones that just go at a walking
Yeah.
pace. Walk 10,000, 15,000 steps. I know Manel Keith would tell me, he goes, dude, I walk like 20,000 steps a day. And instead of running, I'll do that because it burns the same amount of calories that he usually runs. Or if
Yeah.
I'm exhausted, this is active recovery. Two, don't say no to food. Everyone puts this label on, oh, I can't have chips. I can't have candy. I can't have this. I can't have that. And what happens? We end up eating it in the middle of the night because we want it more. We want things we can't
Yeah.
have. How many times the girl said no to you and you're like, I love you. It's like you for some
Yeah.
reason want her more. You love the chase. The same thing with food. If you tell me I can't have the food, I'm gonna want it more. Or I'm gonna crave it. Or think about it more. Why can't I have it? Oh, it's all delicious. So being able to supplement it every once in a while to your diet as like even a reward, or just like, you know what, man, I did a good job today, or manipulate the system of cool, I'm gonna eat this and then have different stuff later. Awesome. I can do that. And then lastly is just drink water. A lot of
Hmm.
people don't drink water. If you don't like the taste of water, dude, put some Mio in it or put some type of flavor in it. But just drink water and that will help digest your food so much better. So
Oh
you'll lose
God, yeah.
weight faster, you'll lose the sugar faster, you lose the salt faster, and you'll feel that much better. So I know it's not fun to drink maybe, 3, 4 liters a day, but drink it and trust me, it's gonna change.
Well, and one thing I found worked for me when I was up competing, it was I know it's not great, but what I would do is I was taking the ephedrine, but um with the ephedrine I was also drinking coffee, and then with that to help, especially to kind of help with the blood sugar levels and just to keep everything down and cutting the weight. I take the ephedrine, drink, and then I do it before the workout. Well, it wasn't my choice. I had to do what I was told. But after the workout, I obviously I was exhausted. Go before going to work, I get a big cup of coffee and then bring it to work, and then I'd be drinking about 5 liters a day, and then I would be drinking the cup of coffee and flush everything out.
Hmm.
And then also I'm pissing out all the like all the sugar in a sense, right? Like, and that's where it worked for me. And I think it's not just about, because everybody gets this wrong perception is you got to run, you got to work it out. Well, you can't work out a bad diet. And honestly, it's simple things. Just drink lots of water, and I think the biggest thing is drink a lot of water. If you're gonna do coffee, just do it black. It's hard. It's hard. Some people can't do it, but honestly, I know it's gonna sound bad, but I say you have three black coffees, and once you go black, you never can go back. And I know that's bad. It's bad, but it's true. It's very true.
I, I was like, let me pull up a photo of my girlfriend. But with that being said, it's like, dude, I've been having like flat whites and cappuccinos. Just don't have regular milk. Have soy milk.
Yeah,
Like there's different ways to manipulate
almond
calories.
milk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's still a little added calories, but at least you have some flavor. Don't put sugar in it. Put a little stevia, the little yellow
yeah.
pack, and there you go. Enjoy yourself. There's always different ways to manipulate the system. It might not be something you truly, truly enjoy compared to the other stuff you used to have, but again, every once in a while, enjoy yourself. Don't say no, you can't have it, but if you're gonna have it, cool. Manipulate your day to be like, all right, you know what? This ain't that bad. I can have that. Again, this weekend, like we today, I went to go do my eye exam. We went to a cafe and we got some coffee, and I saw all the desserts, and I'm like, oh, dude, that looks good. And Mike's like, oh yeah, we'll come back Saturday. We'll grab all this stuff, and I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, dude, your weight's good. You're still dropping weight. You've been eating cake. Dude, I had cake I think 3 times last week. You know, like for example, Mike's been making homemade ice cream and just manipulating it to where it's like more protein. Oh, cool, we'll
Yeah.
flavor and we'll kind of mix it up. And it's just like, I still get to have ice cream. What fuck camp do you get to have ice cream and cake? Like, we make
Yeah.
homemade cakes, so there's always different ways to figure it out. But I think if you're motivated enough, you'll do anything to make it work. But if you're just like, you'll always kind of half-ass it.
Well, and yeah, you just become a wizard. I think Miguel is the wizard of coming up with
Dude,
uh,
he's
he
he's he's not, he's
he's
not
a
just a
real
wizard. He's not a wizard. He's autistic. But his one specific skill is taking care of me, and it works.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like you literally have the real life, I mean, non-fancy wizard right in front of you creating things that taste good. That's awesome.
Mhm.
And yeah, man, I'm really excited to hear about you being able to get the fight. I'm gonna be watching it. For people that don't, okay, so for people that don't know where to find it, where when the fight streams, where can they go?
I'm just reading off the thing. I believe
Okay.
it is.
Oh, so this is
I
just
believe
you
I believe it's December
speculating.
31st. Yes, yeah, for sure. I don't know. I just fight. I don't care. But December 31st, I believe it's at 8 p.m. So you'll probably be spending, the New Year's Eve at a bar
Fuck it,
someplace
man.
watching the
It's
fights
gonna be
and enjoying
awesome.
it. But and I believe my fight is sometime in the morning. I could be horribly wrong. I don't fucking know. But with that being said, it will be on FanMeo, whether you go on their website, you go on their app, you download it. I believe it is $50 for the pay-per-view. Ryan Garcia is headlining it, and I am also part of that undercard. So, dude, it's gonna be
Yeah, you're.
a phenomenal event, and and I mean, come on, it's Japan. I have to make it a spectacle.
And what if I told you I knew that you are the fourth? I'm just going off of tapology here. You're the fourth last fight. So you said there's five, right? So you were the second fight that goes on that night.
I'm looking. Oh, okay. I'm the second fight. Okay, okay. I thought you meant I'm fourth to
This guy,
last. I
this
was like,
guy's
dude,
gonna look up on his phone thinking that Luke's
dude,
bullshitting
that
him.
means I'm co-main event. Yeah, I was like, dude, I thought that means I'm co-main event. Okay,
No,
I'm
no, no.
fourth to last.
Sorry,
So
sorry. You'd be
I'm
like,
second on the
okay,
card.
you had the fifth fight, and then here,
So I'm
then your
second.
fight, and then this fight. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm
Sorry,
looking this
second
shit
fight.
up.
Yeah.
I was like, we
And I'm
could have
just
just
con-
said that would have made things so much easier. All right, let's see. Upcoming Garcia. Let's see. Ba ba
I didn't excel at
ba.
mathematics in high school, so.
Huh. Okay, so right now that has 4 fights in total,
Hmm.
and I'm the first fight out of those four. I guess there was a fifth one that might have fizzled out. It looks like that heavyweight matchup has disappeared. So far I'm the first fight. If they only still have four, unless they find a
Oh,
last minute
okay.
replacement, I'm the first fight. And the Ryan Garcia's fight is 8 2-minute rounds, so it is a boxing match.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. I had to look it up while you're going on there, but yeah, that's honestly, man, and that's the only thing when I have had to do interviews with fighters that I don't. Not that I don't know anything about them. I mean, I'm not gonna just give an interview and then just bullshit the whole thing. But there's fighters where I just need just a look up, just enough to kind of know where I stand, so I know,
Hmm.
okay, just to fact check myself, so I'm not sound like a complete idiot. But there's been times I have nothing on Tapology, and I'm like, Tapology is pretty. They're pretty accurate with things. They're pretty good.
Hmm.
They stay on top of it. But I had to go on other sites, and it's telling me this and this, and the fire corrects me, and I'm just sitting there, the camera staring at this camera like I'm a fucking idiot right now, and I feel so
Yeah,
embarrassed. But
yeah,
you know
it
what?
says like a Tapology, it says December 30th, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So 9 p.m. your time.
Oh
So
yeah, probably
I
my
I
time.
don't
Yeah,
I don't know if that means I fight at night in Japan and then, because obviously it's a different time. If it's 9 p.m. in the States, you add 14 hours from Eastern time. So is that 9, 10? So I'll be fighting at 11
damn,
in Japan. So yeah, I'll be fighting. Damn, it seems like I'm fighting at 11 a.m. in Japan.
hell yeah. Well, then
Now
plus
we know.
everything that. Well, now we know, but the thing is also with all the I don't know what Rizin does with their I don't know how much because UFC they have gone so bad with like filtering. Like I'm telling you, with pay-per-views, it takes you about like 25 minutes just to get the first fight going. And hey, I'm a
Hmm.
fan. I like to watch and support the fighters. But God, it's like it's fucking 10 o'clock at night at my place, and I gotta work in the morning. It's like, come on, let's get the fights going. You know what I mean? Like, just let's go. But yeah, I don't know what Rizin does, so I assume you're not gonna fight right at 11 o'clock. But yeah, like obviously around that time. And you know what though? Like if I was a fighter and I was fighting, I don't know. I don't know if it would throw me off fighting at 11 a.m. in the morning or if because I mean they've had events where they've done the fighters dirty and they want to make it. They want to make everything sound. They want to have the pay per views on at like 8 or 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night for the the Western people and all that. So they make the fighters fight at like I don't know. I think what was that one pay per view? It was it just happened. It was in Manchester back in the summer, and they had the fighters fight at like 2 or 3 in the morning. It was insane.
Mhm.
Like that's
That I
insanity. That they did them dirty. That's I'll say that.
Yeah, but it's also sadly part of the process. I mean, we know, like, given I'm just fucking finding out, but usually a couple weeks before we find out when we're gonna fight, so we have to get acclimated. But it's also the fighter life. This is just part of the process. It's not fun, but it's we gotta do what we gotta do to get our fans to watch and follow. So we'll see
Hmm.
what happens. I don't know how it's gonna work with Rizin if I'm fighting at 11 a.m. and then you have Kyoji main eventing another fight later on that night. So it's technically the same card, but do you sell two separate tickets? Do you sell one whole ticket? Do people even come to the morning session? They only show up to the night session? Like I don't do they show up to both? So I'm figuring it out, but either way, I'm gonna get paid, I'm gonna fight, and I get to show my skills. So that's all that matters to me.
And that's
And
it, man.
dude, if I finish early, I'll be able to watch the fights later while traveling Tokyo.
Yeah, fuck yeah, that'd be awesome, man. Yeah,
So
that'd be
fingers
awesome, man.
crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed, man. But you know what, man, I'm gonna let you go. It's it's getting late over here, and it's gonna get late over your place. So I appreciate you taking the time, man. And it's this is good to finally be able to talk about a fight coming up, and you have an opponent. And I know nothing happens until the guy steps in the cage, but I'm
Yeah.
confident this fight's gonna happen, and I know it's gonna happen, man. And I'm excited, and I'm gonna be watching it. I don't know if we're gonna get another episode in before your fight because I know you flying out and you're
We'll
getting
figure it
closer and
out.
closer. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna get something in. But it's always a pleasure, Shorty, to always have talk to you on here. It's always fun in doing this, and we'll definitely talk again soon. And thanks everyone for watching. And Shorty, again, like I said, it's always a pleasure chatting with you, man. It's just fun, and all I know is your opponent's going down, and I think it's gonna be a bad night for him. So,
Well, I'm super excited. Fingers crossed. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
all right, see you guys.